So we're going to be working on binomial proportions. We're going to keep these a little easier today. I'm going to keep variables on one side. So let's take a look at our first step. We have 10 over 6 equals r minus 8 over 5. All right, so these are two ratios or two fractions equal to one another. You can solve these fractions by doing something called cross multiplying. So I'm going to start with the term with the variables. So I have 6 times the quantity of r minus 8. So I'm going to write that 6. Make sure you put the r minus 8 in parentheses. Very important. If you want to put the parentheses in there right now, that'd be great. Equals, and then I'm going to cross multiply here, and I'm going to do 10 times 5, and I'm going to get 50. So we have two options here. We can actually distribute the 6 to both these terms, or we can divide by 6 right away. If 6 goes into 50 evenly, I would suggest dividing by 6 now. So dividing by 6 here. But before I do that, does 6 go into 50 evenly? The answer is no, so I'm not going to take that because it's going to create fractions, and I'm going to stay away from fractions until the very end. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to distribute the 6 to both terms. 6 times r is 6r. 6 times negative 8 is negative 48, watch your signs, equals 50, which now just brings me to single, so the cross multiplying brings me to single distribution brings me to a two-step equation. Amazing. I'm going to add 48 to both sides. The opposite of subtracting is to add. So now we're just at a two-step equation. The negative 48 and positive 48 simplifies, leaving me with 6r equals 50, and 48 is 98. 6 times r equals 98. I would then get rid of my 6 by dividing both sides by 6. And I'm left with r equals, 6 goes away, 98 over 6. I said you could leave the fractions as improper fractions, but with one requirement: reduce if you can reduce. So it's 98 and 6. Can I reduce both these fractions? The answer is yes. I can reduce these fractions by dividing both of them by 2. 98 divided by 2 is, and 6 divided by 2 is 3. Can I go any further than that? The answer is no. Box around my answer. So r is equal to 49 over 3. This is problem 6 in your worksheet. I have x plus 3, and I'm just going to put this in parentheses here. So the quantity of x plus 3 over 9 equals negative 2 over 3. So let's be careful here because we have a negative sign. With your negative sign, okay, I'm going to ask that you choose to put the negative either in your numerator or your denominator. But let's put it one or the other. I'm going to choose to put it in my numerator. Okay? And then I'm going to cross multiply. So I'm going to have 3 times the quantity of x plus 3 equals, and then 9 times negative 2, which is negative 18. After doing that first cross multiplication. Two choices here. I could distribute 3, or I could divide by 3. So 3 times the quantity of x plus 3, I could either distribute to 3, option 1, or I could divide by 3 here and start the problem that way. What should you choose? Or is there one method that might be easier than the other? What do you think? Yep. Excellent. I'm going to divide by 3. And the reason why I'm dividing by 3 is because I see that 3 goes into negative 18 evenly. So this is going to, the 3's are going to simplify, and that leaves me with x plus 3 equals negative 18 divided by positive 3, which is negative 6. Once I'm here, great. I have x plus 3. I don't want plus 3, so how do I get rid of this plus 3? Yep. Yep, I'm going to subtract 3 from both sides. This goes away. I'm going to bring this up a little bit. Start my problem here. And I'll be left with x equals negative 6, and negative 3 is negative 9. The quantity of 7n plus 7 over 3 equals 5 over 10. I want to give you like a little shortcut here in this one, or maybe not a shortcut, but just something to make this a little easier. And this always works. Okay? If you notice that you have a fraction, 5 over 10, is there anything that you notice about that fraction? Yep. Yeah, you can actually simplify it. So I'm going to get rid of this 5 over 10 and turn this into 1 over 2. And that's just going to make the multiplication and the distributing a little easier. So that 5 over 10 turned into simplified 1 over 2. And then I'm going to cross multiply. And I'll have 2 times the quantity of 7n plus 7, and then 3 times 1, which is equal to 3. That just made my numbers get much smaller. Awesome. So I have 2 times the quantity of 7n plus 7 equals 3. Should I distribute or should I divide out by 2 right away? Which one? Yep.
Distribute.
Yeah, I'm going to distribute because the 2 doesn't go into 3 evenly. So I'm going to distribute this 2 to both terms in the quantity. 2 times 7n is 14n. 2 times 7 is 14. And this is equal to 3. I have 14n plus 14 equals 3. Again, I'm solving for n. I want to get n equals something. What should I do first? Yep. Excellent. I'm going to subtract 14 from both sides. Bringing down my 14n here. So 14n, positive 14 and negative 14, see you later, equals 3 minus 14. So I have positive 3, negative 14. I have more negatives, negative 11. I don't want 14n, I just want n. How do I get rid of that 14? I don't want 14n, I just want n. How do I get rid of that 14? Yep, I'm going to divide by the coefficient in front of the variable. 14 is the coefficient in front of the variable. So I'm always dividing by that coefficient. And then n is equal to negative 11 over 14. Can that be simplified? Nope. Call it a day. I have negative 7/3 equals negative 3 over 5n plus minus 3. Both fractions or ratios are negative. All right. In this case, if they're both negative, well, eventually I'm going to end up multiplying a negative times a negative, and a negative times a negative is actually a positive. So when they're both negative, you could ignore the negative signs because they will cancel each other out at some point, and now you just have 7/3 equals 3 over 5n minus 3, and then you can start your problem. So I have 7 times the quantity of 5n minus 3 equals, and then 3 times 3, which is 9. I'm not going to divide by 7 because 7 doesn't go into 9 evenly. I'm going to distribute. Save my fractions for the end. 7 times 5n, 35n. 7 times negative 3, negative 21, equals 9. I want to get rid of my negative 21 by adding 21 to both sides. Bringing down my 35. 35n equals 9 and 21 is 30. I don't want 35n. I'm going to divide by the coefficient. 35. N equals 30 over 35. Or in simplest form, I could divide both of these by 5 and get
6/7.
6 over 7.